Hello everyone, Bill Dozer here. Today I'm going to be discussing the possibility that Spider-Man 2 may end up becoming the best video game sequel of all time. However, I am not alone today. Alright, so we have the Neko Arc enthusiast himself, IcelinkX, the captain
Hello.
of my Splatoon team, SonicKai, and
Hello,
we
fellow Splatooners.
and we also have fellow superhero game content creator SyncroChamp.
Hello.
I don't know why I used my regular Splatoon greeting. There's probably going to be like no Splatoon people watching this, but whatever.
Hey, you gotta stay consistent. I respect that.
Yeah.
Alright, so what we are here to discuss today is that Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner, and I'm discussing the possibility that this could end up becoming the best video game sequel of all time. Now, of course, that's just an opinion, and people are allowed to disagree. So let's dive into that. So I'm just gonna ask some questions. First of which, actually being, what would you guys say is your favorite video game sequel currently? And to specify, a sequel could count as anything. Like, it could be the second, third, fourth, fifth installment in a franchise, and so on.
Oh, okay, that changes my answer.
I can go first. I already know.
Alright, go ahead.
So, this is actually a game series that probably not a lot of people know about, and it's called Siberia. I don't know if I don't know if there's any Siberia fans in here, but Siberia has been like a really big part of my childhood. And the game that I want to actually mention is the second game in the series because what this game did is it basically didn't change anything about the base game except but they improved upon the actual mechanics that you were given, make, including a bunch of quality of life stuff, better better puzzles, more inventive puzzles because Siberia is a point and click puzzle game for those who don't know. But it basically just took all the ideas from the first game and basically improved upon them and make them better. And to me, like that's also what Spider-Man 2 seems to be doing, and that's part of why like I kind of agree that like yeah, this could be one of if not the best sequel to a video game.
Alright, very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds cool. Point
Sounds
and click
cool.
puzzle click game. I haven't heard of
It
haven't
actually
heard
it
of that in a
actually
while.
It actually, like, literally, Siberia has, like, one of the most unique stories that, like, I've ever seen in a video game. Like, the amount of detail that they put in, and not to mention that the first game came out in 2002, and, like, it looks, like, as good as it is. Like, if you look up the game,
Oh, is it a tree? Is it a trilogy or?
it's, they actually, it was a trilogy. The third game is a game that exists, but they came out with a fourth game a couple of years ago, actually. I actually played it on my channel. It was the first playthrough that I did that I never actually finished because in the middle of it my Splatoon stuff started taking off and started focusing on that. But yeah. Yeah, I would even go as far as to saying that like yeah, the four like honestly, as much flack as the third game gets, it kind of the third game basically walked so the fourth game could run, basically, because the fourth game did the same thing that the second game did to the first game. So basically taking what they had and just improving upon it and making it better and making like a much better game.
Yeah, the first two were point and clicks, and the last two, the third.
Yeah, no, the last two are point and click as well, but they also have like the controller functionality. But they do have a point and click function as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the third and fourth. They're both 3D games.
Well, I mean, the first two are 3D games as
Yeah,
well,
no,
but
but like actual controlling the characters.
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm really torn between giving the answer that I know the nerds will like out there and the answer that I think my heart wants to give.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll just
I
rapid
know
fire
what
them
that's
both.
like. I mean, if it really is hard to pick, like you could just um like talk
It's like
about either one, I guess.
it's
Just
totally
say that.
different reasons. So I'll let you guys pick which one is like the truest answer. Like you guys can tell me which game you think is a better sequel, but like my first instinct is Divinity Original Sin 2, which is like the game that precursors Baldur's Gate 3 in this instance, which is just like an evolution of D&D as a video game, and like it showed people that it could look really pretty and that it could work really well, and that's why Baldur's Gate 3 exists and was made by that company. So like that game I think is really important. Or there's Batman Arkham City, which is, I don't even have to say why I said that game, right? Like that game is everything that Arkham Asylum was, but better, which is probably more akin to the Spider-Man comparison, right?
Yeah,
Kind of like my Siberia comparison.
yeah. Arkham City's definitely up there for me. That would be in my top three for like video game sequels.
Yeah, I personally haven't really played the Arkham Knight games, but like, or seen any gameplay, but I have heard, and that's, yeah, definitely a really good comparison, for sure.
Yeah, like honestly, I played Arkham City earlier this year because I was playing all of the Arkham games again, and like I was really impressed by it. Like I forgot how amazing that game was.
You know what's funny? I saw like a video show up in my recommended, which was basically a comparison um, between Arkham Knight and I think it was Arkham Knight. Yeah, they had the Batmobile, so it was Arkham Knight because there was no Batmobile in City. But it was basically a comparison between Arkham Knight and Gotham Knights, I believe. And they were
Oh,
basically saying how like these two games are like 7 years apart.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's
Ar-
actually a pretty famous video.
yeah, and then Arkham Knight just looks miles better than Gotham Knights,
Yeah,
which is insane to me.
yeah,
Like it just goes to show that like if you have like good art direction and whatnot, like you always say, Bill, like is
yeah,
That
like a game's like art style and look is like timeless.
yeah,
that
and
I don't think
Oh
that
yeah.
comparison has anything to do with the art direction of that game. I think that game is held back graphically by the multiplayer elements, which make it harder to optimize, and it holds it back so that it looks like a PS2 game. Is the big complaint that I've heard people say about Gotham Knights.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
that's
anyone
true.
say that. That's a new one to me.
Maybe PS3, maybe PS2 is too far back. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
no,
probably like
it
early
was
PS3. You could probably say that.
yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of factors that made it so like the game like had couldn't look as good as it could have. Like you said, the multiplayer and like a bunch of other factors. But yeah,
Yeah.
still not impossible to do to make it look at least presentable though. Make it look like it's not from like an earlier generation, but
Yeah, like obviously part of art design is obviously nailing your character design as well, which is also something I wanted to touch upon later. Uh,
Now, for my opinion, I guess I have played a lot of games, especially sequels. Uh, I did give you this game, much. I think it's a much better, I would say, comparison, kind of. Uh, More or less along the lines of like how it took the gameplay and made it essentially better, is Risk of Rain 2. Um, it's this indie game. I'm sure a lot of people probably heard of it, but also like a lot of people haven't. But the first game was made in uh, Game Maker, and it's a 2D game. But the second game, it's they basically took the aspect of how the gameplay was in the first game, which was to survive, fight a boss, and go between stages. Essentially, it's a roguelike.
You're saying Risk of Rain? That's where you're going?
Yeah, Risk of Rain 2.
Ah, let's
And
go.
first. Yeah. My favorite. It's one of my favorite roguelikes. Um, and the second game basically took upon that idea of the first game, and just completely made it better. They took it, they put it into a 3D game, and completely just, like, I would say their first game was phenomenal with how they presented the roguelike genre, but the second game, it it took those and just went beyond, because it's just phenomenal. And I'm sure Spider-Man 2 is gonna be the same as well.
Yeah.
Because the first game was honestly really good, and from the trailers, it seems like the second game is just gonna be even better.
Yeah. All right, so I guess I'm the last one now. So what my personal favorite video game sequel, um, I admit I might be a little bit biased here since like this was legitimately one of the very first games I ever played, and like it was a huge influence on my just forming my love for video games. But my answer would actually be Sonic Adventure 2. Because that game, just like everyone else has been saying, like it basically just took everything that the first game did and cranked it up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that's also gonna be like kind of a similar situation here with Spider-Man, where like if you look at Sonic Adventure 1, like that game, like you could argue it had a little bit of dark moments to it. Like I guess you could say that like the backstory with Chaos, the god of destruction, and what happened with like the extinction of the Echidna tribe and what Tikal went through. Like you could say some of that stuff was kind of dark, but like Sonic Adventure 2 just went full on with making that game a very dark storyline. And they also said that like that's what Spider-Man 2 is going to be like. Is they compared it to Empire Strikes Back.
Hmm. That's really interesting.
Does that mean Miles is gonna lose a hand?
Wasn't my first thought, but yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Venom just like bites Miles' hands off.
Oh man. Oh no.
Who knows? Maybe it's Darth Vader. Maybe they got a different villain in there.
Bruh. I gotta admit, though, going off of like the Ultimate Comics with Miles, it makes me very worried for Miles's mom in the second game.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I'm worried for Peter, but we'll probably get there.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure Peter is like at least gonna last until the third game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I doubt
Yeah,
they'll kill him off in
definitely
the
true.
second one.
I think that's what they all say. You know, I think we're feeling a little too secure.
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, you never know, but we'll just see what happens.
Indeed.
How's the post game gonna work though if that actually happens though? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a good question, actually.
Or maybe they do cyberpunk style. Who knows?
Cyberpunk style.
Yeah, they bring you back before the last mission or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate it when games do that, though.
Oh
so-
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
That's
true.
like I really hope they don't take that approach with it. But you know,
Yeah.
like they haven't done that for like the first two games, so like doesn't make
I'd be
sense why they would
surprised.
just suddenly do it
I
for
agree.
the third. I should say second because Miles Morales is a spin-off technically, but still.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we already kind of touched on what my second question was going to be, which is, like, what do you think Spider-Man 2 can learn from the games that we mentioned?
I mean, yeah, just like
I would say taking the story and the world from the first game and essentially cranking it up a notch, with making it even better, even more impactful, and just a lot more like depth, you know?
which is definitely what they seem to be doing based off all the gameplay and the trailers. They're definitely gonna try to go all out with this one as much as they
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Alright, so next thing I want to mention is actually the fact that it seems like Spider-Man 2 is taking some inspiration from the Spider-Man 3 movie tie-in game. So, what do you guys think about that?
I cannot contribute anything to this. I never saw anything about the Spider-Man 3 game. I'm not gonna lie.
I've played that game for hours and hours and hours. What do you mean by that?
I know that like a lot of people don't like it. So I'm just saying, like, it's actually kind of surprising that Insomniac would like even like most game developers would probably not really want to look at games that are pretty like disrespected, but the fact that Insomniac is actually looking at that game and saying, okay, what were some things from that we could take inspiration from? I think that just goes to show how much they care and that like they really go above and beyond.
I think what he was asking was like basically like how do you know they're taking inspiration from Spider-Man 3?
It's true, but that doesn't help me kind of put into perspective my answer. I think that like the things that I've noticed that they kind of are taking from that particular title, like the little things that they've cherry picked out, like the web sling, if you will, where you like you web two things and then you launch yourself into the
Yeah.
distance, like that is cool as. And that game is, you know, a successor to Spider-Man 2, and it does kind of tone back some of the things that Spider-Man 2 does really well in favor of being like, you know, a traditional video game, if you will.
Yeah,
But
so like some of
I
the
think
other
like
stuff that
story wise, it might like they might be pulling just from the Venom stuff. Even there's lots that you can learn from
maybe.
any game, right? Even one that is bad.
Yeah.
And that honestly, maybe the most important game to learn from.
Yeah, actually, that's a
Yeah.
very good point.
Yeah.
The
So-
greatest teacher failure is, as Yoda said.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, that
It's kind of
definitely
funny considering that line was from a failed Star Wars movie.
It's really
Yeah.
funny because that reminds me of there's this one game, trying to find it right now. Yeah, No Man's Sky. They promised a lot of stuff on launch, and it was extremely disliked on launch, and people didn't really like it. But over time, they kept on updating it, and the game has actually received a lot more positive feedback because they learned from their mistakes and they made it much better.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
a
that's
good
that's for
point.
sure. Yeah, like the point of like failure being the greatest teacher.
Yeah,
And
like obviously Insomniac did not make the old Spider-Man games, but yeah,
but they can
still.
obviously take, take the information on what the games were
Yeah.
and
Learn from those who came before. Very important.
yep.
Yeah.
I was just saying that because, like, I remember back when they first revealed the gameplay demo, like, people were pointing out the fact that, like, oh, Craven is hunting the lizard. That's just like the Spider-Man 3 game. And I was like, that's a little bit of a stretch. But then, like, I just keep seeing more and more things that are similar to the Spider-Man 3 game. Like, they're also bringing back the black suit having a rage mode and the slingshot mechanic and even the lizard's design seems like it was based off of the Mega Lizard boss fight from the Spider-Man 3 game. So,
That fight sucks.
yeah, it did.
Oh dear. Yeah. I guess that's one of those cases where it's like where there's smoke, there's fire sort of thing. Like you see all the hints and just like, okay, maybe these claims aren't totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels, but I think there's gonna be a lot of parallels between Spider-Man stories, right? Like that's just the
Yeah,
nature
of
of the
course. That's
character.
Yeah,
just how
obviously.
how it works. That's just what's gonna happen.
But not to say that they didn't look at it, because they very well could have.
Yeah, I even remember how like in the first game there was a track on the soundtrack called Webbed from the Shadows, which was clearly meant to be a nod to Spider-Man Web of Shadows. So like considering that, like they're obviously gonna also be looking at Web of Shadows for this game as well. And oh yeah, that also reminds me, people even pointed out that like one of the moves that Spider-Man does is actually from like the Nintendo DS version of Web of Shadows, which is kind of funny.
Why the DS version specifically? Is that move not in any other version?
No, because like the DS version is completely different from the others.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess that would make sense because the other game probably wouldn't be able to run on it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, I guess we can move on to the next question, which is there a specific gameplay feature that has not been confirmed yet that you're hoping to see?
Hmm. You know
I
some
cannot comment on that because I do not own the games. So
you know something I want to see is being able to fight things on walls.
Oh yeah, that was also in Web of Shadows.
Yeah, I Web of Shadows is like one of like the few older Spider-Man games that I actually had a brief look at. And
Uh-huh.
like I saw like the whole like fighting on walls thing and I'm just like, wow, that looks fun. They should include that in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
yeah, that does sound really interesting for
Yeah.
more
Yeah, especially like
Yeah, and
imagine
it'll
type of combat.
yeah, like imagine like fighting Venom on a wall and then like after his health bar gets to a specific point, like a scripted cutscene plays where like he'll just grab Spider-Man and like chuck him through a window and then you fight inside of a
yeah.
building. Like imagine
You
stuff
know,
like that. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
like
and two,
literally like a movie.
yeah, literally. And like to an extent, they did technically have a wall fight for the final phase of the final boss in the first game, even though technically it was just basically a fight that was on rails. But like it if they like
Oh
were
yeah, I know
able
what you're
to
talking about. The Doc Ock fight. Yeah.
yeah, the final fight against Doc Ock, where it was like the very last phase where it was just you just dodging and beating down on him. Like that was like very obviously just them flipping the entire map on a 90-degree angle or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, just the fact that that was in the first game, it's like, why not just like build upon that and make it be like a regular thing in combat? Because like it could provide a lot of like gameplay potential for like different enemies and whatnot for you to fight, and like maybe it could like give you like different like wall crawling and wall running moves or something, like specifically to like fighting on walls and whatnot.
Yeah, that would
But
be
yeah,
really cool. I would love it if they do that. So,
yeah.
I guess what I would like to see them implement, um, it would be to be able to like kind of like free roam, even if it's just like you can only do this in specific parts of the story, like just free roam as Peter Parker or Miles Morales in their civilian clothes, and then like go into an empty alleyway and press a button to change into your costume, and then like a small animation will play of them getting into the suit, and then you know, jump off and swing away. There was something kind of like that in the first game in the DLC, so it's definitely not out of the question. Because there was that mission where he was tailing those people, uh, trying to get info about Hammerhead.
Similarly, in like the OG Spider-Man 2, there's many moments where Peter is like caught off guard and has to be Peter Spider-Man-y, and like mostly around the Bugle, and like stuff like that happens to him all the time. So that would be pretty fun. I like this.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, like a
It'd be
stealth
cool,
mission, but like you're just in your civilian outfit.
essentially. Yeah. Just more of what they did in the DLC for that one mission is basically what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Have they confirmed the alternate skins, whether they have symbiote variations or not? Is that
Uh, I mean, they showed off the Spider-Man 3 black suit, but I don't know if that's like specifically a symbiote variation or if it's just another outfit for you to have, but
Yeah, there's
I don't
probably
some
going
of
to be
them?
like a little bit of a mix of both.
yeah. It would be cool if we actually got the Web of Shadows symbiote suit. I really like the way that one looks.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
My answer is symbiote suits for every suit. That'd be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, like alternates for each suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, if they do that, I remember one of the things, like, I used to, like, get excited about with the possibility of that as well is, like, imagine what the Scarlet Spider suit would look like with the symbiote. It would probably look awesome.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they could do it justice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, another small side thing that I wanna just like, this is just a personal thing for me, but please give us like give us the TASM 2 suit and the final suit in a Spider-Man No Way Home that Peter made for his final swing in that movie.
Yeah, I was
Like
actually
I
gonna...
want those I
I,
want those suits. I need those suits in the game.
I was actually gonna ask you guys later if there's a specific suit you would like to see in the game, so I guess we'll just talk about that now. So yeah, Kai already mentioned that. For me, I would say the Spider-Man 3 black suit, but they already showed that one. So I guess I would like to see the Across the Spider-Verse suit for Miles because I think that suit is really cool. And it would also be awesome if like they still have a Spider-Verse suit for Peter as well, so that you could have the two of them matching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a completely like new version, like that. Because
Yeah, like the one from the second
which
movie.
one? I'm trying to think of it. But yeah, that would be cool for sure. Personally, I don't really have any like thoughts on which one I want because like I don't really read or like caught up to like a lot of like Spider-Man media. Uh, Especially the comics. There's just like so much that like wouldn't really know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah, I get you.
Give
But
me the end
I
of the
would
No Way
say
Home suit.
No Way Home.
I actually thought you were gonna say that you hope that. I mean, this would be very unlikely, but I actually thought you were gonna say that you hope that they add the Marvel's Avengers Spider-Man suit to the game.
I mean, I would appreciate that. I'm not gonna lie. I think that suit has
The
more
suit
going
is
for it than some people would give it credit for.
the suit is not the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
Like,
like
it,
honestly, I actually didn't think it was that good the first time I saw it, but like when you actually see it in gameplay and see it in motion, it actually looks pretty cool. So I think that's actually like what they were going for with that suit is the fact that it looks a lot better in motion than it does in still images.
I can't get over him. I can't get over Spider-Man just like yelling as if he's like on a roller coaster when he's literally just swinging like 20 feet in the air. I
He's also
don't
just
know, something.
massive. His model's like huge in that game.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that is just really funny to me. Just him swinging like 20 feet in the air and going, "Woo!"
Yeah. All right, so I guess the next thing to ask is what do you guys think of all of the character designs so far? Personally, like I absolutely love the character designs for um, everyone. Like I've always been a big fan of the way that Insomniac implements that stuff into their games, where they pay homage to the comics while also giving it a little bit of a realistic twist to it, and making things look a little bit more modern and updated.
I personally really like the designs. It's cool. It's kind of funny to me how like the only gripe, like I don't know if this is like necessarily like a gripe. It's just like a small like little like pet peeve, but it's just like it just feels like weird to me that like everyone else has like their own unique designs, and then there's just Venom, which is like the most like almost the most comic book accurate version of the most comic book accurate Venom like we've seen. It's just like it kind of just like feels like it clashes with everything else when with them trying to make like their own like original thing, which I mean like it's not the worst thing in the world, but I just kind of wish they like took a little more creative liberty just to see what they would do with Venom's design. But that's just my opinion.
All right, that's an interesting perspective, and I can see where you're coming from. Like, yeah, especially if you look at the way that Venom's eyes look, that definitely looks like classic Venom. Whereas, like, I think you would have wanted something a bit more like Web of Shadows, where like Venom's eyes were more angular.
Yeah. I mean like even like with all the other literally all the other villains like in the series up to this point, they've like done their own thing with them. Like the Tinkerer is a completely different character. Like we like and it's just like it just feels like Venom just kind of clashes with everyone else. Like it feels like he doesn't actually like belong in the world. It's almost like he's like from not actually like from this specific dimension, which maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know. We'll have to see when the game comes out what the story behind Venom is, if there is one. But to me personally, Venom being like so comic book accurate just feels out of place with everything else, especially when you have all the other old villains with their own unique design um specific to the game.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, again, that's just my opinion, and I am in no way saying that the design is worse off because of it, because Venom looks awesome. It's just, like I said, it's just a pet peeve. It's just a small nitpick.
Yeah.
So don't attack me for saying this.
Sorry. I only have like one minor thing. I think most of the designs are good in the new one. Mary Jane I found unrecognizable in the second trailer until someone told me. I thought her hair looked like too dark. But now that I'm looking at it, it is red, but like, I don't know. First glance, came across brunette to me.
Her face also looks a little different too, I feel like.
Yeah, they aged her up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I actually love that they're doing
Oh
that
yeah,
in the
how
game.
many
Like
years
that
did
that
pass?
huh?
Do we know how many years passed, or like?
Basically, they said it's been 10 months since the events of Miles Morales. So basically, that would be like 2 years after the first game. Since like
Yeah.
the first game takes place in the end of 2018.
Uh-huh.
So Miles Morales takes place around the holiday season of 2019. So that would put Spider-Man 2 at like um, around like the end of 2020.
Hmm.
Right.
Somebody warned them about COVID. Oh no.
No. COVID was the devil's breath.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Oh god.
They had the whole thing that Peter told Miles, wash his hands, wear the mask, social distance,
Yeah.
all that. It was all. I need to chill. I'm gonna get like the whole Spider-Man brigade on my back.
Yeah, funny thing about that is that like I actually said the same thing to my sister, how like this game kind of predicted COVID. So then like my sister told me that around the time that COVID happened, she was playing some Digimon game, and like in the Digimon game there was a pandemic happening in the game, and she was just like, "Oh brother."
Oh. Dang.
Huh.
And then just the silence afterwards.
All right.
I don't really know what to say really too much.
Yeah, just we could
I
move
think we've
on.
said enough. We can move on, yeah.
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 All right. So the big one, obviously, is what are your thoughts on where the story is going, and also, who would your number one suspect be for who you think Venom's gonna be?
I want it to be Peter so bad, but I know that it's probably not.
I mean, that might
mean-
happen like very briefly, like Ultimate Spider-Man style, but obviously he's not going to actually like be the actual host for Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My money is still on Harry being Venom.
Yeah, same
I'm
here.
not, I'm s- Yeah, I'm sorry. The whole like thing in that trailer where Harry told Peter that we're gonna heal the world, and then at the end Venom's saying the same thing. Is just like, nah, that's basically confirming that Harry becomes Venom. Like, I mean, heck, he was literally bonded with the symbiote in that life canister or whatever it was. It was literally the thing keeping him alive.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course it would like re-bond with him because it's already bonded with him before.
Yeah. And like I do think Harry being Venom, like that's still pretty similar to a lot of other Spider-Man media where Eddie is Venom, like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics or the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show where Eddie and Peter were childhood friends, but then Eddie had motivations to turn on him, and then the symbiote just further enhanced the hatred, and bam, there's Venom.
Yeah.
So like
And I mean,
it would still be like familiar with what we know. It's just a
Mhm.
little bit different.
yeah. And I mean like really like if you think about it, who else like logically could it be? Like I mean, I guess you could say Craven maybe. Maybe he steals the symbiote somehow, but I don't know. I don't know why they would go that direction, especially since Craven is already like really strong as it is. And I guess maybe you could say Norman as well, which I guess could also be a possibility, but I feel like that won't have the same amount of emotional weight that the devs are obviously trying to go for with this story. So again, that's just kind of iffy for me. Like to me, having it be Harry is the best direction like they could go in if they want to like tell like a really emotional story.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I think that's the most likely answer as well.
Let's go, I cooked.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean, I guess like my I said that like my wild card prediction would be the fact that like okay, if it's not gonna be Harry, if it's not gonna be Norman, then maybe it'll be Martin Lee, and like that might be interesting because like then they could kind of do their own take on anti-Venom. But
they
that's
really
just
have
a
the
wild
creative
card.
freedom.
Like I do not think that's gonna happen.
That's why
Yeah,
they just have the creative freedom to do whatever they want, how
yeah.
they're gonna make the story. So
That
it's
would that
really
would
anyone's guess.
actually that would actually be like a really interesting take. Like, yeah, being Mr. Negative turning Venom white and making him anti-Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even in that scenario, like, there is an arc between Miles and Martin that needs to be resolved. And I mean, I guess it could be resolved if he was Venom to an extent, but like even still, I feel like Miles would be less inclined to like forgive him and complete his arc because I do think that like they're gonna like have Miles forgive him like Peter did in the Spider-Man 3 movie. He,
Yeah.
and I feel like having him be turned into Venom would make Miles less inclined to actually forgive him because it's just like, yeah, he basically became the monster that Miles saw him as in his head.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was,
actually a good way of looking at it.
but on top of that, it could also show how enduring that Miles could be if he saw all that and still forgave him anyway. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like it's been said, it could go in literally any direction. Since they can literally do like anything they want with this.
Yeah.
But It'll be interesting to see where they actually go. But
Yeah.
yeah, as,
As the meme says, anyone can be Venom. Even Squidward's house.
okay,
Okay,
I've never seen
okay,
that
no.
one. I've never seen that one, but slay, I guess.
All right, but I also think that's a good transition into my next question, which is like other than Kraven, Venom, and Lizard, which villains do you think are actually going to play a bigger role in the story as opposed to just being side missions and or like very minor antagonists in the grand scale of the main story arc, which I actually think Martin Lee is probably going to have a bigger role in the game than we think because of the fact that they barely showed anything about that. So the fact that we've only seen like one shot of Martin Lee from the game. So that just makes me think that he's gonna have a bigger role than we think.
Ooh, ominous.
I think
It would be kind of cool for like a comeback type of situation.
yeah. I think that it's very possible that we could see Doc Ock again because Norman is like trying to find a cure for Harry, and we already know, thanks to Miles Morales post credit scene, that he was working with Dr. Connors to try to find a cure for him. And we all know how like intelligent Doc Ock is in this universe. Like the man literally found a cure for cancer in like what, less than a day? Like
Yeah,
I would think that Harry, or not Harry, Norman would despite knowing that he would hate that they despite knowing that they hate each other, I feel like it could get to a point where Norman just becomes desperate and just goes to Doc Ock to be like, "Hey, I need your help to save my son." Like again, because I'm pretty sure that there was like a plot point where they were saying like the whole like thing, the experiments was to first save his wife and then to save Harry, and then like that whole thing caused the Mr. Negative to become a thing, right?
yeah,
Is that right, or am I remembering that wrong?
yeah,
Yeah. So it's not. I feel like it might take some convincing, and it would be like really cool to see like Norman and Doc and Octavius just like have like a whole on like battle of the wits, like trying to outsmart each other to gain control of the situation and like try to manipulate the other. I don't know, like something about that just like really appeals to me, like just seeing these two like highly intelligent people just go at it with each other and like see who can outwit the other. Like I feel like that would be like a very interesting scene to see play out.
yeah. Anyone else have anything to add?
I like the Shocker from the first game a lot. He should definitely make a return.
Yeah, and like
Yeah, Shocker, definitely.
they should also recreate the meme. If you know what I'm talking about, you know.
I'll chase you to the ends of the earth.
Yes, exactly. Yuri could totally pull off doing that line.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah,
100%.
totally.
Yeah, because he is on a completely different level.
Dude, his voice for the symbiote suit is like terrifying.
Yeah.
Imagine him saying that line in that voice. Oh boy.
Yeah. I even saw like someone I remember reading this on Reddit like a few months ago where someone was saying that like it would even be funny if like you beat up Shocker easily at the beginning of the game, like before Peter gets the black suit, but then you see him again later on, after Peter gets the black suit, and like Shocker's actually somewhat proving to be a threat because like the shockwaves would affect the symbiote. So then like he would just get
Oh
completely angry at
yeah.
Shocker, and then that's when the line would come in of him saying, "I'll chase you to the end of the earth."
Jeez, man. You really went all out for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I completely forgot about that. Thanks, vocal cords. Thanks for that voice crack, by the way. I completely forgot about the whole like shockwave type thing. Like that would actually like make a lot of sense, given the fact that like yeah, it's sensitive to sound and shockwaves and whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next thing would be, what are you actually looking forward to the most from the game? Which I'm just gonna say right off the bat that like that's a question that I can't answer because I'm just excited for everything.
Yeah, it's like I guess the best way to put it is that just like I'm just excited for the experience. Like
Yeah,
there's no other
yeah.
way to put it. And I'm really sad that I'm gonna have to wait another year before I can play it because I don't have a PS5, so I have to wait for the PC port. But it's like, yeah, like I'm just excited for the experience. That's like the best way I can put it.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of explaining it.
I'm just hoping that the side questing is just as good as it was in the first game because I felt like every single time that I ran into something, or got a new thing to go collect around the city, I was like, yes, I want to spend all of my time doing that, and then I'll continue the main story. So as long as I have that feeling still, like I'll be perfectly happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something I'm hoping that they can replicate because like all the cool Easter eggs that they put in the game with the backpacks and everything, like that was so cool.
It's actually kind of funny because I remember um because me and Bill, like we've been doing this thing where we would like just go in VC and just like I would play like a couple different games. And I played Miles Morales for like the first time during one of those times. Like I only like watched like a playthrough up to a certain point, but like it was like the like very beginning of the game and whatnot. But he mentioned to me that like if I wanted like the ending to like hit harder, I should do the side missions. So I did, and like yeah, that was like yeah, he was right basically. Like it definitely hit harder like with all the side missions after doing all the side missions, especially because like all the characters that you helped and basically coming in to like basically defend you at the end and protect you from the press afterwards, like that hit so much harder knowing like oh yeah, I helped these people, I kind of like influenced their opinion of me in a way, sort of thing. So like that was like a very interesting like way like approach to the side quest, and I kind of would like to see them do that again for this game.
Yeah, I totally agree about that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, because like that game is probably like the uh probably my one of, if not my favorite example of side missions in a game. And I think I remember saying to you, like, the fact that they even poured their heart and soul into the side missions just really goes to show how much effort they put into the game.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like a it's a side it's a spin-off game, and they managed to make a story and a finale that somehow hit harder than the first game. It's like, if they did that for a side game, a spin-off game, like, I am afraid of the story that they're gonna bring for Spider-Man 2.
Oh
Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I'm 100 expecting Spider-Man 2's ending to just break me. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna be in tears.
yeah, yeah.
All right, anything else that anyone wants to say?
Not really. Not really.
Okay, so now the opposite of that is actually going to be, do you have any concerns regarding the game?
Ooh.
Hmm.
Now that
So-
now those are gonna be some hot takes.
I have two. One, my first concern is that I won't make it till next Friday without getting spoiled. I'm really scared. Concern number two, my friends that have seen the spoilers are all being weird about it, and I don't know how to feel. I don't know what they've seen. I don't know what they know.
Oh man.
Oh god.
Yikes.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Not even related to the game itself.
That's
Yeah, totally
literally just
unrelated.
literally any most popular game that comes out recently gets leaked, and everyone has to
Yeah.
try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate, but that is actually a fair point to bring up
Mhm.
because like yeah, getting spoiled can ruin the experience.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, that was like, yeah, I would basically say the same thing. Like, I feel like I'm like getting like the worst of it here because I have to wait a whole nother year before I can play the game. So like, like
Yeah.
the fact that me needing to avoid spoilers is gonna be like so difficult, especially since like there's gonna be like playthroughs of the game at that point because the game is going to have been out. So like I'm gonna have to like just keep watching a bunch of things that aren't Spider-Man related so I don't get Spider-Man 2 spoilers.
Yeah.
I think.
If it's like any more leverage for you guys, sadly, because of like personal circumstances, I'm not going to be able to play the game until October 26th. So I'm going to be like a week late. So, yeah, that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
I don't even have a PlayStation, so
Same, man. Same. That's why I'm waiting for the PC port.
I'm broke as well. I'm your average broke college student.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right, so
Concerns. I
I
don't know if I would have any concerns. I would say probably the delivery on some aspects of like the gameplay, you know, like
uh-huh.
there might be something obviously like maybe like I wouldn't really know what they could do to like fuck up the game. But I mean like there might be something that they add and not maybe some group of people just won't like it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I guess the only thing I can really point at as like a concern is just like the maybe the game won't live up to expectations, but of
Yeah.
course I highly doubt that's gonna happen. Like this is Insomniac we're talking about. They have not made a single bad game like throughout their whole like 30 years of being game developers.
Also, like concerns with just people being like overly like having too high expectations, and
Yeah.
maybe they
Yeah.
should lower it. Because I know for a fact if people are like they have too high hopes for something and then it just doesn't happen, uh, yeah.
Yeah, like for
Those are-
example, let's say, you know, some people expecting that Harry's gonna be Venom. Let's say that doesn't happen in the game, like those people will probably get disappointed. So that's why I try to stay neutral about that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, keep your expectations in check. Like, sure, he's the most likely, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah, they could do like literally anything with Venom. So who knows where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
Even though Harry is the most likely, and they literally gave like the most explicit hint known to exist. But it could, like you mentioned to me before, it could have been what was the word you used? Misdirection.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so one of the last things I want to bring up actually is um, the whole mantra of video game sequels versus movie sequels. So, like, typically people say that video game sequels are better than movie sequels. So, what's your opinion on that? And like, um, how Spider-Man 2 might fall into that category?
I wanna hear everyone else and then say mine because like I wanna hear.
All right.
I'm interested.
Okay, let the two game devs talk first then.
Yeah.
Processing.
Yeah,
I think there's an interesting. You make a good point, right? Because video games are almost always easier when you have something to build off of, right? Because you don't have to build the whole game engine, you don't have to build the swinging mechanic for the first time again, right? Like you have less work to do the second time around because you're just manipulating what you have and improving upon the base that is there. So I think that
Yeah.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, yeah.
You got nothing?
No, I'm just trying to like collect my thoughts before I like
Uh,
actually say anything.
well, if you're collecting your thoughts, I guess I could explain why I was like more intrigued to listen. Is I feel like there's this consensus on because okay, I'm starting this off really bad because my brain is like all like tangled up on what I want to say. Um, Movies are much harder to make as a sequel than a game because movies there's a lot of factors, uh, the script writing, the actors, the actual director, the like the recording, the post production, all of that, and there's several variables between that, and uh, while there's a lot you could fix in post production, for games it's much easier to develop a sequel, like how Synco uh, yes, I'm explained how it's much easier to go about the second time because you already have the base. Uh, and then on top of that, you can continuously update the game afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Um, so essentially, it just
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
base.
going back to that actually of the whole like, because yes, like they said, the game with the game sequel, like you have the base to work off of and improve upon. However, with a movie, you're basically just building it from the ground up again
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
you all you can really save and like reuse from like the first movie is the world that you established in the movie, and that's it. Like all you have is the rules that you set in the first movie. You have the story arc that they went through, and like arguably, like I write stories. I have like so many that so many stories that I just completely like scrapped because they were just completely incoherent and had like no no real like vision or story to tell. And that was because like it's really it's really hard to connect things and not have a whole lot of plot holes in them. And I feel like with a movie, plot holes and all of that is more noticeable because people are watching a movie for the story, but most people playing a game won't play the game for the story. Like if they wanted a story, I mean like obviously having a story to like hook people would be like the main like a big part of it, but there's like a plethora of games with absolutely no story that are loved by people, like, you know, battle royale games and all that.
Yeah.
So it's people when they play a game, they're mainly playing it for the gameplay, not necessarily the story. The story at most would take second place, but in a movie, it's more so about the the story. So you have to be like really careful about the story to make sure that there's no like inconsistencies. Not to say that that's not the same, that you don't have that same issue with games as well, but people are more prone to notice it because because they're paying attention to the story more in a movie than they are in a game. That being said, though, there's still a lot of factors for a game that makes it harder to make a sequel off of than a movie, because while a movie you only need to focus on one specific element, well, I mean, yeah, for them, yeah, they all fall under one category, which is the story. You know, you script writing, characterization, they all fall under the story. But with a game, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff that you need to manage. Like you need to like manage optimization. You need to make sure that your gameplay isn't just the same but evolved. You know, you got to make sure that like you don't just like basically copy and paste the same game and whatnot. And it's very easy for game companies to do that. Um, like for them to like miss like a lot of things and like not really do much to improve the game as a whole. I mean, look at Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2 comparatively. Yes, Splatoon 2 added some things, but a lot of the quality of life, well, I mean, the quality of life in Splatoon 2 was not really that much better to Splatoon 1 comparatively, like in my
I would
opinion.
say, I would say a better comparison would be 2 and 3 because they're both on the same console.
Well, no, but I'm like saying how like
Or
they
are you
didn't.
talking about like from the startup, from like?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like because Splatoon 2 didn't really do much different than Splatoon 1 did. Splatoon 3 actually took the formula and actually evolved it, you know, adding a bunch
Mhm.
of like new things, like new mechanics, new quality of life stuff. Like Splatoon 2 just felt more like
More like a proper sequel.
not like a proper sequel. It felt more like it basically felt like a Splatoon 1 port, but kind of like reimagined in a way, if that makes sense.
I mean, that is the feel that they were trying to go for. So
Well, yeah, I know that's the feel, but the problem is if that like if your whole thing with the sequel is to basically make the same game, people are going to lose interest because if you're not doing anything if you're not doing anything new or different that'll capture their attention, you're just not going to have as many people interested in the game, especially if it's like a Splatoon 2 case where the game just ended up being worse off in the end because of like the whole meta that it's stuck in now for the rest of time.
Yeah, as I like to say, Splatoon 2 felt like the franchise going through identity crisis. But I guess also, like we said earlier when we were talking about the Spider-Man 3 game, like, yeah, you learn from your failures, and Splatoon 3 was an example of that. They learned from the failures of 2 and managed to make the perfect evolution of the franchise because of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, heck, even like in Splatoon 2 itself, they managed to at least they gave us Octo expansion, which was like basically the best like story campaign that the franchise has ever seen.
Yeah,
So like even in Splatoon 2 itself, they still managed to salvage something from the game. But yeah, going back to that, like, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's nothing really more else to add to that.
yeah,
Like, I mean, personally, I feel like making a video game sequel is significantly harder than making a movie sequel because yes, you do have a base to work off of, but the problem is people could get lazy and just not do anything to really improve upon the base that they have. Hence why we have hence Splatoon 2 that I mentioned earlier, and like why there's like I'm gonna get attacked for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Why there's so many like Sonic fan games out there that literally do nothing to like the frameworks that they're given. So they basically just all feel like the same games, but with different a different levels and whatnot. It just all feel like just level packs with the same, but are the same game sort of thing. You gotta be careful when it comes to making a game that you do something that you don't stay too close to the original, and also you don't stray too far away to where it feels alienated. You got to find like the sweet spot in between, and it's very hard to find that at some points. Like sometimes it's very hard to like find that sweet spot with a game a lot of the time.
yeah.
um yeah, so yeah. I don't know. I feel like with like all the factors that go into game development and all the things, like I would say like it's actually harder to make a video game sequel than a movie sequel. But just because like you have so much more that you need to manage in a video game sequel than a movie sequel. With a movie sequel, all you really have to do is just continue the story. But with a video game sequel, you have to like I said already, you got to manage the gameplay, the story, and making sure like you keep people interested by introducing new things into it. But I should probably stop before I ramble any longer. But yeah,
It's okay.
I think your point
totally me.
is, understood. I think, movies are
yeah,
probably generally harder or easier to make. It's
yeah.
a good point.
TLDR, games are harder to make because there's a lot more you have to manage than a movie sequel. There.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, your points have been made. You know, honestly, you could view it both ways.
Yeah.
Because
I guess,
it's
like,
really dependent on the size of the studio.
yeah,
Such
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Like, basically, it depends on the context. Alright, so, with all of that being said, um, do you guys think that Spider-Man 2 will be the best video game sequel of all time? You
in
know,
my
at least in
opinion,
your opinion.
that's really hard because there's a lot of good sequels. I would say in the most recent like years, probably yeah. Um, I could for sure say that recently probably one of the top sequels. Sure.
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be a modern classic, like 100%.
Yeah.
True. I think that it will be very difficult for it to be that, and I think that Marvel or the Spider-Man 2 game that came out for the movie is probably going to be a better sequel, in my opinion, simply because that game revolutionized what Spider-Man web swinging is, and it's the only reason that this one even exists. So I don't think that I could give it more credit than that game, even though it's probably going to be more fun. I don't think it will be better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the legacy of that. Yeah.
Yeah, fair
You,
point.
you
Like,
always have to consider the past.
yeah, respect the classics, as I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Alright, so, like, of course, my personal opinion is that, yes, it will be, since, like, the first Spider-Man PS4 game, like, is actually my personal favorite game of all time. So, like, really, they just need to improve upon the first game, and it'll, um, be the best of all, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But also, do you think it's gonna win Game of the Year?
Uh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, there was a lot of good games that came out this year. Oh boy. Yeah.
Uh,
It's going to be hard to beat Baldur's Gate for me personally, but I think it has
yeah,
a
I
good
think
chance.
Baldur's Gate has a chance to probably win because of how much it took over.
Would be my choice.
Yeah. I don't know. Uh, yeah, because there was Resident Evil 4 remake and there's Tears of the Kingdom that it has to
Oh yeah,
compete with
Tears of
as
the Kingdom
well.
did come out this year.
Yeah,
There's a lot of competition.
there
Yeah.
really is a lot.
I wish I could say that like the new Yakuza game, but like it doesn't have that big of an audience like these other games. So
Yakuza is literally just. This is why Sega they got bought out by like a gambling company. And now they're just using games to like hide that fact, and now just every Yakuza game is literally just. That's why every Yakuza game now is just literally just the same thing, because they just reuse the same engine, same assets, and don't make any changes.
no, I wouldn't really say that. Because
That is,
there's definitely story development and
yeah, story development. That's it. Everything else
Isn't
about the game is the same.
I
isn't
mean
like a
like
dragon like a
the
different
fighting, yeah.
game?
I mean, obviously they're
Like
gonna
a
make.
dragon is like a tactics
The,
game.
the
I
one
don't
that's
know.
Yeah,
coming out
no,
right
I'm
now,
not.
okay, so it's coming out I think like next week as well or something like that. It's a sequel to Like a Dragon, and I would say the only similarities is like it's the same game combat, where it's a JRPG, but it's completely, I would say, different in sense of
Well,
like gameplay wise.
in any
The
case,
combat.
I don't think they're gonna have. In any case, I don't think they're gonna have to worry about Yakuza.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
I wish, personally.
Yeah, like obviously, uh, yeah, I think it would be. I personally would want it to be Game of the Year, as long as the game does end up being fantastic, of course. But
I'm scrolling
like,
down and
I just, I don't know if it will is the thing.
hmm
why do they release Just Dance 2024 this year? Huh? I don't. I'm.
It's got to be out in time for 2024.
But wait. Did it release? No. No. I don't. Okay, never mind. Just Dance games. They exist. Mind was boggled. I'm looking. There's definitely a decent amount of games that can compete for Game of the Year.
Yeah, like sadly, this seems to always be the case whenever one of these Spider-Man games comes out, because it was also the same case in 2018, where that game had to Spider-Man 1 had to compete with Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, and also, actually, I don't think they counted Smash Ultimate yet, but either way, there was a lot of great games in 2018. So, sadly, it didn't win, but I mean, yeah, that was completely fair. And sadly, also the case in 2020, where so much stuff came out that year. Like you had Animal Crossing, New Horizons, The Last of Us Part 2. Technically Among Us didn't come out in 2020, but it didn't really blow up until 2020. So they counted that, and it all yeah, there was just a lot of competition there too. So Miles Morales didn't end up winning either. Uh, so it seems
Didn't
sadly, might be the same case for Spider-Man 2. But I hope the game wins at least one game award, because none of the other Spider-Man games managed to win a game award. Uh, so I hope at the very least it should win something.
Yeah.
I personally already think that Yuri Lowenthal should get the game award for voice acting, because when I heard his black suit voice, I was so impressed.
Yeah. It's just kind of I'm sorry, but I can't unhear the Matt Pat clip.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
The
bro.
fact that it honestly sounds pretty similar to Matt Pat.
Oh man. I love Matt Pat, man.
Is there anything else you wanted to go over, Bill?
No. That covers all of the bases.
Yay.
Well, it was fun doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is a first for me. I don't really do this stuff. Kind of fun.
IceLink YouTube debut reel.
Real. I wish. Gotta focus on college more.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, my YouTube is just like full of like just random stuff. Anyways,
Echo Arc and all that.
it's
Yeah.
just mainly clips when I play with friends. So
Right.
I just
Yeah.
whatever I think is funny when I play.
Hmm.
I'm not really dedicated, but like still like would trying to like say like thankful for this opportunity, but like in a different way. It's definitely fun for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed being on here, and yeah, it was nice inviting everybody and getting the chance to do this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, guess that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. If nobody has anything else to add, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I appreciate y'all, and have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Bye, everyone. Well,
See ya.